for him, that is because they love each other, but they're not designed to be with each other. One of the analogies I give, bro, is this, that and folks who follow me are probably tired of hearing me say this, but I took my phone to Apple there we go. There we go. I took my iPhone. Those of you who are iPhone users, from time to time, our battery can die really quickly. I took my phone to the iPhone store, Apple store, and had the guy look at the phone. And Jay, he looked at the phone. He asked me a question. He said, "Man, what kind of charger are you using with your phone?" And I told him what kind of charger I was using. And he said, "That's the problem, bro." He said, "Listen, while this charger is compatible with your phone, while it has great chemistry with your phone, while it is a great companion to your phone, it is not designed for your phone, and it is burning your phone out from the inside out."
Wow.
When I think about Dr. J. Barnett and the conversation we had, I see a man who has been in relationships with people who you had great chemistry, great compatibility. They were a great companion. The problem is they were not designed. And so as a result, that relationship was burning you out from the inside out. And so we have to ask, well, what does design mean? Design doesn't necessarily mean love. Design means I'm moving in purpose, and so are you. And so some of the challenges I think my brother's having and many people are having is I can find a good partner. I can find a good companion. The problem is I can't find anyone who is aligned with my purpose. And that's problematic.
Yeah. And I think that's very problematic because I listened to a lot of women that were sharing their experiences. I know tons of women that work in purpose. I know tons of women that work in purpose. And also a lot of these women who work in purpose, they say the same thing. And what we're usually saying is, why is it so difficult for women in purpose to not be able to cross paths with men in purpose?
Yes, sir.
It seems that we're having the same experiences, but at different places in life, right? And you brought that out because I actually said that to a close friend of mine, my best friend. I don't know, she may be watching. My best friend, Felicia, man, she travels with me. She's my assistant, and I thank God for her and her guy, man, who allows her to travel with me. And we often talk about that, right, when we're sharing our experiences. And I say to her, I said, V, I'll meet some dope women on this journey. And typically what happens, like if I meet women that are really operating in purpose, it's usually the timing, right? It's like, man, we're going 100 miles here, 100 miles there. And here's what happened. And I think we both do this, men and women. If you're operating purpose, what happened is when you meet people that operate in purpose, it's usually a lot that is happening through transitioning and motion.
Yes, sir.
And where we get distracted is we will sort of start talking, start hanging, start conversing, start spending time with people that don't really have. I'm not saying that they don't have much going on, but they're just kind of like meandering through life and just kind of, and what'll happen is you'll find yourself trying to help them to define their purpose because you're already in your purpose. And as I told a close friend of mine, she says, well, how do you feel about dating now? I said, imagine, I ran track. I ran a 1 and a 2. And I said, imagine you coming off that curve off of that first 100 and you getting ready to hit that straight away. So what I was saying was that the challenge is, and again, I'm being vulnerable and I'm okay with that. The challenge is at this juncture in my life, I'm coming off the curve. And when you hit that straightaway and stand up, you're already in motion.
Yay!
And when you're in motion, it's hard to stop. And to your point, what gets us in trouble, this is both men and women. What gets us in trouble is that we'll slow down the progression that we have because there's two parts to this, Dave. I think some of us, and I know I've struggled with this, is survivor success. Because I feel bad that I'm leaving somebody behind. And for me to not feel like, again, going back to that shrinking part, there's parts of me that'll start shrinking because I'm kind of like, man, because I got a lot going on and I handle it well. But if you're kind of trying to connect with somebody that, and it's not so much about having a lot going on, but my purpose is so vast.
When Eve met Adam, and we're gonna go back to that, Jay, she didn't say anything in that story.
Mm.
Yeah, she just followed him. So then we have to ask the question, what would make a woman just follow him when she didn't know him from that moment? Here's what I submit to you, man, and I think this is your story. I think that she was so, well, they were created at the same time. They had the same purpose: be fruitful, multiply, replenish, subdue. I think when she met him, man, her purpose and his aligned so much, there didn't need to be many questions that had to be asked, right? I think if I've got to answer too many questions, you may be a good companion, but you're not designed for me, right? Because when God sends someone into my life, I don't have many questions, and especially about how I fit in your life. And so, Jay, I think for you, King, and this is, we're not making this whole thing about you, but it kind of is. I think for you, bro,
No.
You're running at such a pace that you need a woman who has her shoes on too. And I think the problem that we often face is that you're meeting women who are great, but they're not running like you.
Yeah.
They can't keep up. Go ahead, King.
So I saw this comment. Somebody says you're bonding with the men, then you're bonding more with the men than with the woman. So let me address that. Here's the thing, man, that sometimes I think the challenge is that we have such limited view into people's lives, such limited views. And when you have such limited views into people's lives, you have a limited perspective. And with a limited perspective, you have limited understanding. I'm not a person who I don't want, and I've learned this from Bishop Jace, and I learned this from my mentors. I've learned to share my work and mission without sharing my life. Because that is for me. And I've dated intentionally, and they can tell you that I would be on the plane 35,000 feet in the air sending flowers. I would be on the plane planning dates to connect and planning dates to bond and connection, because I like intimacy. And because intimacy for the work that you and I do, we need that. And then even for those women, if you're in a space where you pour into people, intimacy is essential for you. Intimacy is your lifeline. You cannot, if you're in any service industry where you have to give yourself to people, if you are a doctor, if you are a counselor, if you are a grief counselor, if you are a social worker, anything that takes from you for you to give courage to people, for you to give energy to people, for you to give hope, you have to have intimacy. And so many times what happened is we meet people that only understand the physicality and not the emotional intimacy. And I'm not talking about sex. I'm not talking about sweating and getting off. I'm talking about intimacy. Into me you see. Because as you begin to see me, I now feel bonded with you. And if I'm not bonded with you, when I'm out of your presence, I can't locate you. And I remember telling someone that I was dating, I said, I have got to be able to feel you when you're not here. So when we're together, I need you to be present with me. And this is me being vulnerable. And again, at 43, man, I am so centered in my vulnerability and masculinity. I have joy in sharing these parts, that I have to be able to feel you in your absence. Because there are moments, and you know this, there are moments when we have these highs And I've talked to
Jay.
many of my female friends that there are moments that they have these highs. They have just saved the day. And there's nothing worse when you have just come off a high and there's nobody to meet you in that low.
And the problem with what you do for a living and what I do for a living, and I want those who are listening to hear this, and especially for those of you who desire a man who is high achieving, healthy emotionally, you need to hear this. For us, empty comes too easy. And what do I mean? I'll unpack that for you. It is easy for us to pour out everything we have.
Yes.
Here it is. And not realize we're on E because purpose keeps us going.
Absolutely.
So we can go flight, get off the flight. We do all of these things, man. And then we don't realize, man, we're flowing on E. And what I would like my sisters to hear who are listening to this, and I want to take this opportunity, just kind of help you understand what men feel, what we think, especially. So what you saw was a conversation between two healed men.
Yes.
Who are still working through life.
Exactly. Say that again. Two healed men are still working through life.
We are two healed men who are perpetually working through life. I am married, so I have someone to work through life with. My brother is single. He is working through life. When it's all said and done, it's on Jay. So what a person like Jay needs is someone who can see his empty without him saying he's empty.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
What we, what my brother would need. And so, man, we, that's why you aren't, again, we're going back to our conversation. That's why you're not with anybody now, because man, the emptiness and the poor, not everybody understands it. And here's the other thing, Jay, you're on a flight 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And I'll tell you, my biggest challenge is, and some of the women can probably connect with this sometimes. And I know some of my sisters that are like really go-getters, that are hyper independent and all of that. And I'm sure y'all will attest to this. Sometimes we make difficult look so easy.
Come on, bro.
And because you make it look so easy, no one thinks you need the support emotionally or mentally, because they like, oh, you got it. And I've known so many times that I've heard, well, you don't look like you need any help.
Yes, sir.
And what I am saying often is that it's not that I don't need help. I sometimes don't have the moment to say I need help. So yes, what a partner looks like, what a spouse and a person who's that is tapped in, that is in tune spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, they can see the blind spots and feel it without having to make an announcement.
That's right.
There was moments that I was able to see my partner's blind spot and I feel it without saying anything, because I understood what my responsibility was, but I also understood what I brought to it. So here's the other part, ladies and gentlemen. When you're going into relationship, is understanding, what do I bring to it?
Ooh.
What do I bring to it? What am I not? And I'm not just talking about just showing up, just me. What am I bringing to the relationship? So I know that if you come around me, you immediately feel ease. I've been in the mental health space over 10 years. There's not one client that says Dr. J, or before I was Dr. J, would say, man, I just feel so at ease. Anybody that I've dated, that I've gotten to know, they often say, man, you have such a spirit of ease. That's the work and the healing that I've done. There's a level of calmness. There's a level of sereneness. There's a level of stillness that I have in my that I've really developed in my spirit, and also in my home. My family walk in my home, they immediately, the first thing they said, man, there's so much peace in here.
Yes, sir.
That's because I had to work inner me in order to be able to operate in inner peace. Most people don't have inner peace because they have not discovered the inner me, the inner you within.
Jay, What? So you're telling me that I can't have inner peace if I don't know inner me?
Yes, sir.
Because if I
You
don't know
cannot.
inner me, I'm well, that's dangerous, man. Yeah, that's dangerous because then, Jay, I can't introduce you to me when you meet me. So then now you are connecting with a counterfeit version of me. And here's what makes it worse, Jay, is the more we get to know each other, the more you bring the me out of me, and potentially the more you discover you don't like me.
Exactly. Because guess what? If I have not been introduced to who I really am, I don't know who I'm really introducing to you.
I don't.
I
I
don't.
don't.
And so what I do is because, hey, you're a good person. Hey, therefore you are, you know what I mean? And again, and again, it can't be good because good is not enough when you have, and anybody who knows this, and we'll take some individuals that have questions if you want to hop in on this live chat. When you have a true anointed calling, first of all, people who are really anointed don't want to really do it.
Don't
So
want to do it.
so people like I wrestle with God daily. I
Me
don't
too,
want
bro.
to, I don't want to answer the email. I don't want to talk to these people. I don't want to because you know what comes with it. But I had to learn this, and I've learned this recently that the calling comes with the cost, but the oil has a covering. And as long as you're under the oil, man, that keeps you covered. And that keeps me going when I'm empty, to your point earlier. So a lot of times I've had to come home off the plane, drive home from the airport, tears in my eyes because it's so weighted. Because when I touch a man and speak into his life, the enemy comes right into my ear and says, "You just changed his life, but you still got to go home to an empty house."
Jay.
You just saved this man from taking his life, but you got to go home and sit in stillness and quietness. And here's the other part. Let me say this. Let me really level the playing field. In 2021, I lost a child. And I cannot tell you, I'm being so vulnerable. I cannot tell you, lost a child. And I cannot tell you how much the enemy will. I have friends, homeboys that got married and had children. We're in our 40s. They're having kids. And people don't realize, man, these voices. This is why I tell
Sure.
people when you see somebody who's truly called and truly anointed, man, pray for those people. I have walked with many sisters in therapy that have strong call on their life that have the same experiences as me. And people say, well, your picker's off. It's not that our picker's off. Most of the time, there's so much going on that we are not really seeing clearly. And then because we carry such a grace, we give grace. And oftentimes, giving grace and the benefit of the doubt can also be the very thing that can take you out, you know?
Jay, you
So,
talking tonight, bro.
man, and again, and I'm being honest, that thing bothers me all the time.
How has how was that impeded on how you move in relationships? Or has it?
It came up about a year ago when I was getting to know somebody and we got to talking about miscarriages and different things like that. Please look at your phone or on YouTube. I hear you, CJ. My producer is asking me about these questions, and yeah, we're going to get to the question. Hi, Tracy. I love you. Uh, Tracy, I need that interview as well. So when it came up, we started talking about miscarriages, and she shared her story about miscarriage, and I started to kind of get teary eyed. And she was like, "Is everything okay?" I said, "Yeah." And and I said, I just had a moment where I said, I went through that, and there was this excitement. And again, I was excited about it, wasn't going to announce it. I mean, it was this excitement around it. And so for me, I feel like I missed that moment. And when we got to talking about it, it didn't impede on it, but I became very emotional in that moment. Not that I was checking out, but it really hit me because sometimes things don't have an impact on you until you have a memory of it.
Mm. Mm.
And it was the memory of that entire experience, even with her. And then even feeling like, well, man, did I do something wrong? It was our fault, this and that, I mean, and all those different things. And I had to go into therapy and talk about that. And I'll even go deeper. I had to go into therapy and write a letter to the child.
Mm.
I had to really unpack all of those things. And you rarely hear men talk about how miscarriage impacts them. And I think and this is my thought process. I could be wrong. I think it's bifurcated, which means I think it's two parts. I think for the woman, it's emotional. For the man, it's mental. And man, that thing bothered me, man. And and then God started sending me clients that were working through miscarriages. And here's the other part about it. And I'm gonna pass the mic. Here's the other part about it. God had me giving prophetic word to people who couldn't have children. God had me giving prophetic word to people who couldn't have children and telling them that, hey, you're going to have a child. A year later, hey, Dr. J, man, we had a kid. And I'm happy, all those things. But again, it was the pain of my own loss. Because you can hold both of it. And this is the other part of it. These losses and the pain of it is the same as if you had been stabbed.
Mm.
Your brain don't know the difference. Your brain don't process pain and say, well, you got stabbed, I'm going to hurt you like this, and you had a heartbreak. The pain was. And then it was me also working through that trauma as well because of what happened in that space. And unpacking those things, man, is and it can be a slippery slope because, again, I'm sharing this tonight, but oftentimes I, have talked to women who have experienced that, and I'm so sensitive to that because for the woman, I can't comprehend what she goes through. So in some cases where there was a young lady, she couldn't have any more kids. And man, that thing, it just shattered me. And so all of these experiences, it doesn't impede on the dating process, but I do think that it impacts the dating process in some way.
I think about as you're talking, man. Well, first of all, I just want to say, I want to celebrate you, man, as my brother. I want to celebrate you for a few reasons. And if I could just take 2 minutes to do this. First of all, Jay, I just want to celebrate the fact that you are a different man in that you have all this stuff that you don't let impede on your calling. And man, thank you.
I can't, Dave.
Thank you.
Dave, I want to at times.
Yep.
I don't like social media. My CJ, I don't like none of this stuff, man. If it was left with me, I'll go to Europe somewhere, South Africa, and I'll never show up again.
People don't understand that about you. And I think and the reason why I'm enjoying this so much is because people don't know you. And I like the fact that they're getting to know you.
Yes, sir.
That makes me happy, right? That's why I'm like, man, just talk, bro. But I would also add to it, what you're saying is that, so for the woman that's coming into your life, here's the thing that you have to, on our interview, I said, Jay, you're a lot. It's a lot. This is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the weight and the things, ma'am, that you don't know and the things that you think you know. Someone just had a comment, you bond with men better. No, I don't bond with men better. And what you said, Jay, very politely was, you don't know me like that.
Yeah.
Right. And partly because I don't put myself out there like that.
Yeah.
I'm happy you're doing it, bro. This makes me happy.
Yeah.
When I saw us crying on that interview, I said, yes, finally, another man that
Yeah,
feel something.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, man, because for me, man, I'm very guarded and I'm very guarded and I'm very guarded because of what I've been given. You know, when Bishop
Mhm.
Jakes told me, I never forget when I started to I started to really speak and God began to grow my calling. Bishop says, "Your life will never be the same." And that scared me, dude. That scared me because I was like, "Hey, I don't want that. Like, I want to be regular." And he said, "You can't be regular." And what you helped me to understand, David, was that it's okay that you're not regular. Because when I see you or when I see my other brothers, Joel, Lawrence, all of the other brothers that I'm connected to, man, that do so many great things for men, I feel like it is the gathering of what is the movie The End Game.
Yes, sir.
I feel like it's the gathering of all of us because we're part of this group that have all of these unique qualities. And sometimes women will look at those certain things. And I guess I don't know what part of it is intimidating because for me, I'm chill, and I can understand that the calling can be a bit intimidating. But I think there's another part that says, hey, he's strong in this area, but there's some other areas that there are soft spots. And this is and I want I want both men and women to understand that they're watching this. Yeah, the Avengers. So I feel like when we come together, is we are the Avengers that are assembling. Here's
Yep.
what I want to tell people: male and female, men and women, kings and queens, my brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen that are watching. Be sure to have someone that can care for the areas that you're soft in.
Mm.
Be
Mm.
sure to connect with someone that you can truly feel and know that they can guard the areas that are soft, meaning tender. Those areas that are still sensitive, that if you touch, it just, oh, that hurt. I'm
Hey, bro,
still,
as we're talking, man, this is just healing talk.
yeah,
Like this is not normal.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
this is abnormal.
yeah.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
I want to break it up a little bit. Can we have somebody to come in the chat and ask a question? To come in the
Mm.
chat on YouTube. Because I know some of y'all sisters are asking I see y'all going in on these chats over here. And so I want to bring you in. Please be respectful.
Please be
so
respectful. Please.
yeah. So I see my stylist V. V, do you want to come in? I see you in the backstage. Let me see.
What up, V?
V, can you come to the stage, please? Because
She's
you
in there.
actually got to set in on the episode.
For those of you who saw the episode, would you in the chat just say, I saw it? I saw it. If you saw the episode.
She didn't come. Let's see. All right. So here's a question here from Kayla. My question, Dr. J, do you think most of us are rejecting the partner God may have based on our expectation,
Mm.
image, or who we think is our dream partner? David, I'll let you answer that. Let me see.
Um,
Kayla? Did you just ask that
I
question?
did. Hi.
How you
what's up,
doing?
Kayla?
I'm good. Hi.
Okay. So what's your question?
So yeah, I was at look, I have it also put up on my TV. This looks crazy. Let me turn
Okay.
it. So I just wanted to know, like a lot of us can have like a preconceived notion of who we think we deserve. And a lot of the
Mhm.
times, so first of all, I just want to say I'm in school to become a social worker.
Okay.
And you've inspired me. I love your content. I love
Oh,
your
thank you.
vulnerability. I love everything that you're doing. But back to what I was saying, my question. A lot of us have picked from an unhealed place, right?
Mhm.
So we will have this idea in our mind of who we think we're supposed to be with. And it's almost as if when God will bring us the right person, we reject it. So I wanted to know, like, as a man, as a Black man, as a healed man, do you think that a sister, a brother would meet the person that God has designed for us, but will reject it because it's not what we thought we want?
Absolutely. I think a lot of people have rejected who God has presented to them. And what I also will add is that God honors choice.
Right.
I think that God will present people to us and then we have to choose. And I think, I know for me personally, I have removed expectation. I don't think I deserve anything or anything like that. I don't have a list. I do have some things that are important to me rather.
Right.
But I think, you know what I mean? So I just don't say, don't just give me anybody. But I do think at time, and then too, I always say to people, it's based on where you are in your life. Are you in a position to where you can see and hear?
Right.
And then also, if this person is presented to you, what time is allotted to you getting to know this person? I think we often take on the story of Boaz and and him spotting Ruth in the field and love the story. However, I think in 21st century with how it's what is the compatibility, what is the connection, and then also what is the spiritual alignment that I think that you have to, because I've seen people God present, like my tour mate. We were on tour and Lawrence Aja, he met his wife on a Bible class, a virtual Bible class. They on the Bible class, I don't know what she was saying, but anyway, he got her information and he said she said something in the Bible class that struck a chord in him.
Right.
And he said when she struck a chord in him, he said, man, I got to know more.
Yeah.
And with him wanting to know more, he reached out. They end up talking and connecting virtually, flew out there, and they just welcomed a newborn boy about 6-7 months ago, married. So and again, I think it comes down to where we're at. So David.
Yeah, I'm gonna answer your question, Kayla. That's a great question. But I'm just over here smiling, man. I'm just happy to see this version of you, bro. Just open, just vulnerable, just talking about relationships. I'm just happy, man. Go ahead, Kayla. So yes to that question, but I want to give a different perspective, and I just want to give those who are single something to think about. When you marry someone, the two of you will become one. So it's two people becoming one person lived out in two separate bodies. Mm-hmm. Since that's the case, Kayla, whenever I reject someone that perhaps God is sending into my life, I'm rejecting a version of me that I need to meet for my future, right? I'm not just rejecting them, I'm rejecting me, because we're going to become one and they're going to bring some things out of me that I couldn't get without them, right?
Absolutely.
So we got to be careful with rejecting people based on height and weight and all of those things, because there's so much deeper things God is wanting to get out of you, and they're going to pull it out. So yes, you can absolutely reject the wrong person. I also want to put this on the table. I don't personally believe that there's just one person in this earth for you. I believe you could have many people that are fit for you, that God would endorse for you. And so we don't want to reject. You start rejecting too many people, they're not the problem, you are.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a great question. Thank you, Kayla.
Thank you, Kayla. All right. Does there anyone else want to hop in the stage and ask questions? Somebody said, I don't believe God brings everyone a partner. I believe if y'all are together or y'all produce a child, there would be an impact on ministry, then God will present your spouse.
Okay. Tuana had a question earlier. I'm just going to read it, Jay, and you tell me what you think. Tuana House said, my question is, how is a healed and purpose-driven woman, as a healed and purpose-driven woman, can I position myself to be found by a man of God who reciprocates at the same level of love and effort in putting the work into a relationship? Ooh, Tuana House. Ooh. She's saying, hey, look, fam, I'm purpose driven. I'm moving after the things God has called for me. I only want a man who is on that same level and who's willing to put in the work. Tawana, what that means is that you're going to have to say no more than you say yes. You're going to have to. You're going to have to say no more than you say yes. The other issue too, it's not an issue, is that you have to position yourself around purpose-driven people, right? Not around people that are searching and seeking purpose. The third thing is you want to make sure that whoever you are even in communication with from the gate, they are emotionally healthy and intelligent. If you are carrying them, then we got a problem. So now that leads me to I want to clear up something that we said on the pod that I was taken way out of context, right?
Yeah.
So we talked about you, Jay, you not being toxic and woman feeling I have to carry you. And here's what I want to say. And I'm not chauvinistic. So I just want you to hear me from mature ears. There are a lot of you ladies who are carrying men and you don't want to admit it. And you're saying, I don't carry no man, I don't pay a man bills, I don't do any of that. But here's how you carry him and you don't realize it. If when you have something going on in your relationship and you're the only one that's coming up and showing up emotionally, you're the one who's calling the counselor, you're the one who's calling the coach, you're the one who's talking to you are carrying him, right?
Yep.
So Tuana's point is you don't want to carry a man even and especially emotionally. Listen, Jesus wept.
Yeah.
Jesus wept. Jesus was an emotional man. He felt emotions. And so if you're with a man who is closed off, you will be carrying him.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
And I also think, David, to add even more context to that is also to add that you can be carrying someone from a spiritual perspective and not knowing they've attached to you spiritually.
Jay.
Where those whatever spirit is on that guy, whatever spirit is on that woman has in some way intertwined with you. Because you can be out of the relationship but still be connected from a spiritual, and I'm not talking about a soul tie, but sometimes that spirit can still be attached to your psyche and to your emotional space that is limiting connection, that is also limiting you from finding the person that is aligned to what God has called you to, or to the person that is meant to go to take the distance with you. And also women, it's imperative that you have a male man, whatever y'all, but it's imperative that you have someone who can carry you. And what that clip wasn't about, listen, I want to carry her.
Yeah.
Look at these shoulders.
Hey, hold on. See, now we go. Now your inbox. Come on, inbox about to be full.
Like, I want to carry her, and the right man is not trying to avoid carrying, because you understand that you are a chief prophet, you are a chief priest, you are a chief promoter. That not only do you prophesy and speak into her life, you pour into her, you pray over her. You know what I mean? You push her, you protect her, you provide her. You understand those things. And so I don't get in these conversations because men who are truly centered in themselves, in their faith, in their purpose, we're not running from that responsibility
at all.
And what that conversation was, and that vulnerability for me, was that in knowing that I'm not running from that responsibility, I didn't have a safe place to land when I needed to lay not the responsibility to the side, but I just needed to take the cape off from the world, because I'm okay with the world seeing I'm Superman, because that's what I'm called to do. But when I walk in that door, I want to be Clark Kent.
Here's the problem with Clark Kent. He doesn't get enough applause.
He doesn't. He doesn't.
He gets no applause. And so when we take the cape off, you don't treat him the same way you treat Superman. And the reality is he needs just as much attention. Oh, can we lean into this for a second? We need to be nurtured as men.
Yes.
And nurturing, Holy Spirit just kind of showed me this the other day, that nurturing is more spiritual than anything. I need you. Go ahead, Jay. Yeah.
No. I'm like, she's like, no, just take that.
It's a spiritual matter. So when we talk about nurturing, yeah, I don't want you to coddle me. I don't need you to, I need you to nurture me. What that means is there are some things in me that I cannot get out of me until you massage them out of me by nurturing me. You have to massage me, and I don't mean physically. I mean, you got to challenge me to be great. You have to look me in my eye and say, what is God saying to you concerning our future? How are you going to get us to the future? Right? You got to nurture me. And then at the same time, I need you to pull me aside and say, I believe in you. And here's it. There are so many men who do not know how to say, I need to be affirmed, because the woman in their life has made them feel like if I say that, I want to be babied.
Yeah, no.
I don't want to be babied.
And David, I had a lady say that to me, and I said nurturing was very important to me. And she was like, well, I don't want to be your mother. I said, no. I said, me expressing that nurturing is important to me, that's not about me looking for a mother. Understand nurturing is to understand care. The same as cultivating is to understand build. If I'm cultivating something, I am making it better. I am building it. If I am nurturing something, I am caring for it. I am providing warmth. I am providing ease. The environment is pleasant. And so I had to correct that, because I said, no. I'm not looking for, I don't want a mama. That's not, I said, nurturing to me is a place where I can rest my own cares into your caring bosom. Meaning the environment, the space that you created for yourself. And here's the thing. Just because there is a maternal instinct does not mean you have developed the instinct to understand how to nurture and care. No different. It's the same as just because you can make a baby as a man does not mean that you can be a father. Those require deeper levels of work to not just project, but to emit that I am a father over anything.
That word nurture comes from the word nourish. That word nourish means to supply with food. It means to, supply with food and drink. It means to feed. It means to bring up. It means to nurture. Here it is. It means to promote the growth or development of. I want you to hear this. If you're not willing to nurture me, don't complain about us not moving forward. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because a part of your job in my life, helpmeet, is to provide nourishment for my soul so that I can grow and develop. Again, if I could do this by myself, God would have left me alone.
Man, listen.
Jay, he would have left you alone.
We can't.
I can't do this by myself. You have a responsibility, and your responsibility, man, is to nurture me, to nourish me, to promote growth, to promote development. But here's the problem. If you are expecting me to already be, you won't see where you need to nurture.
Because
if I've got to be him already, then why are you here if I'm already him? He called you helpmeet for a reason, because I need help. Well, what's the help? I don't need you to cook and clean. I cook for myself. I wash my own clothes. What I need is, I got this thing on my life, and I need you at 2 a.m. when I'm asleep to lay your hands on me, please. Please lay hands on me. When I walk in that door and get off that plane, please lay your hands on me. What is the Lord saying to you concerning me? That's what I need.
Man.
That's what I need. Prostitute can't do that for me.
You talking
porn can't do that for me.
Can't do it.
No, brother. I need you to nurture.
Grows without nourishing. I'll say that again. Nothing grows without nourishment.
Nothing.
Nothing. And let me tell you, that's not just in a relationship space. Even in things that you're pursuing, it has to be nourished. If you want it to grow, you have got to feed it and you have got to give into it, pour into it. But too many times we're wanting growth without the exercising of doing
Of the soil.
of the soil. You have
Yep.
got to work and replenish the soil. So we're gonna go to this question by Danny Rose. It's been up here for the last. Danny, do you guys believe that some people are not meant to be married? And if that person has a desire, do you think God would honor those desires?
Not everybody's going to get married. And if that person has the desire, do you think God will honor those desires? I don't know the answer to that. What I do know is that not everybody's going to get married. There are a lot of people who have a desire right now that are not married. Right? And so then we have to ask the question, am I okay with God if he never does it for me?
Now, that is what I had to work out in therapy about the child. My therapist said, what if you never have a child and this opportunity never comes back around? I said, you got to come back to me on that. And because it is a desire for me, and there was a time that it wasn't a desire for me because of the pain and the wounds that I had from my childhood. And so when she said that, David, I said, I got to sit with that a little bit more. And I had to sit with that a little bit more because part of me was angry with God. And there's and we should be angry with God. There's nothing wrong with being angry. The anger didn't turn me away from him, but the anger did make me dig deeper in why do you want a child? And when I had to come back to therapy, I had to answer to her not only why did I want a child, but the other part of it was also me saying to her, you know what? If he don't do it, he's still God.
He's still God.
And I'm okay with that. And that's when I became free from it, because as much as it pained me, I also knew that he wasn't killing me because this didn't happen. Because oftentimes we think when we don't get something or we don't get what we desire, and you're not wrong for those desires, we think that, God, are you killing me? God, are you doing this to me? Are you? And I just had to, I had to really reconcile that it's okay.
It's okay.
And so what I did was I started pouring into my nieces and nephews.
Yes, sir.
And then God began to send me younger men. And he said, though you may not see yourself as a father, but you're fathering many men.
You are, Jay.
Are fathering in the way that you're giving to them.
Yes, sir.
So that brought peace to my loss. And also in that loss, I realized that God was even more present in the loss.
Man, I had a cursing match 3 times last year. I just cursed at God. I don't mean curse like good Christian curse. I mean, I pulled out every curse word I learned in my life, and God still loved me and he still cared for me. And so for those of you who are listening, who some of you are disappointed with God because he hasn't done it for you or done it yet. And I want you to know it's okay to be upset. It's okay to be frustrated. But I want to remind you of this. Scripture says that no good thing will he withhold from them that walk uprightly.
Walk upright. Yes, sir.
If I don't have it, it's not good for me. Right? If no good thing will he withhold from me, and if I'm walking uprightly, then that means, God, if you're keeping it from me, it must not be good for me right now. So God, help me settle with that in my mind. Yep. Look what Ann said. Yes to Danny. I'm sorry, Jay. This is your pod, bro. I'm just talking.
Oh, no, you good, man. Yeah, I think I was just posting that reply from Ann. She said, yes to Danny. I'm okay with God not giving me a husband because I have no desire to be married. I do have purpose in my single life because it is a beautiful life that I can't even explain. And wow, beautiful, beautiful.
I love it.
Beautiful.
I love it. Beautiful. Hey, Jay, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
How did you know that you were healed?
I knew that I was healed because my reactions were no longer reaction, they were responses.
Whew.
I no longer had reactions, I had responses.
Oof.
And I was a reactionary person because of football. And I knew I was healed when I no longer had a re-jerk reaction, but I had a response that I would sit with something.
That's so good, bro.
And I would sit with something, digest it, process it, and then move forward in whatever the emotion and whatever the feeling was. And that took time, because when I was in therapy at the age of like 31, 32, it was difficult because I was also seeing a white clinician that was working with me. And for him to try to tell me to not have a reaction, that was challenging, because him telling me not to have a reaction was almost like this white man is trying to tell me what to do. Now, that was my understanding of it, right? Because there's a part of me that even in our immaturity, I think there's some innocence to our levels of immatureness, right? But as I began to work through it, I no longer just saw him as this white man that I was working with, that he's not trying to control you, Jay. He's trying to equip you. And in understanding that he was trying to equip me, I began to lean more into the process rather than resisting it because of that dynamic, right? Because again, we all have biases, whether they're explicit biases or whether they're implicit biases. So there was a bias that I had against him, but I also knew I needed help, and I couldn't find a black therapist. I couldn't find a black man. I couldn't find a black anything. And I remember him asking me something very tough, because early on, like, I used to pop off at this dude in the sessions. And I remember I used to get mad. He's to ask certain questions, and I was just like, why are you asking me that? And he would just be so calm. And I was just like, and part of working through the healing is also understanding, why is that your reaction? And part of that reaction for me is, why are you asking me that, and why my dad couldn't ask me that?
Ooh, hold on, bro.
That was the barrier.
That's heavy.
That's what it was.
Why couldn't my dad ask me that? Wow. You have a good relationship with your dad?
Yeah, we mended the relationship. Yes, we
That's
mended
good,
the relationship. Bro. And that journey, it allowed me to address parts of me, because I had been this 13-year-old boy all the way up to 30, man, that I had never been asked. I had never been asked from 13 to 31 how I was feeling. No one never asked me that until I got into therapy.
Why do you think that is?
I think for the way that we have been socialized as men, no one really thinks that we have even the capacity mentally to even respond to what we feel, because many of us don't know how we feel, because we don't have the language to understand the emotional chart of what emotions and feelings are. We only know anger. But I think there's some parts of me that, I think there was some parts of me that was anger because nobody never asked me that. Because I was the oldest, and so I was taking care of my sisters and being a stand-in husband to my mother. No one had never asked me that. And
how
so
I'm doing
or how I'm feeling. And so I really began to think, this is just what you do as a man.
You just go.
And that's the behavior. You just go. That was my thought. You just go.
Can I ask you one last question, Jay?
Yeah.
This is your thing, but I just one last question. How do you deal with women who perceive you as this guy, good-looking guy, educated, successful, but they don't know you really have a heart underneath all that?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I had to, man, it's crazy, bro, that you asked me that question. This is my sister Priscilla, if you can get in the chat, please. If you can get to come back to the stage, I would love you to come on tonight just for a few minutes. If you can come back to the on the go to the stream on Instagram, if you can come on stage and I can bring you on for just a few minutes. For me, man, it's difficult because I had a woman that I was really interested in, beautiful, you know, all the things, really dope, and she was like, "You're so tough," and you know, and she had this perception of me, but then when she started to get to know me, she's like, "Oh my God, you're just such a big teddy bear." And by the time she got to know me, man, I had taken my wall back up. Because the entire time I was showing her, I was like, man, I have my own insecurities. I'm like, wow. and this was a challenge about me being out there. And I shared with her. And again, I'm not blaming her. I'm not saying that, but I shared with her. I was like, man, there are some things that I'm really insecure about in this area. And it wasn't anything grand. I can't remember what it was. It was something about what I was doing because of the season that I was in. And I was trying to manage so many different things. And I just remember her saying, "I can't believe you even struggle with that."
What? Yeah, see?
And so
yeah.
I'm sitting there, right? Like, you know, because like, we sitting there, we just chopping it up. And I was like, I hear, because I do this a lot. Like when I'm just kind of confused, I'm like, huh? What? She's like, well, I can't believe you even struggle with that. And I said, listen, I had to pause because a part of me was just like, man, dude.
Yeah.
And this is what I said. I said, man, let me tell you something. I said, beyond what God has called me to do, there's still a little boy here. I'm not searching for anything, but there's times this little boy comes up and he's scared. And I said, what I'm often scared of is I don't want to screw this up. So what I just shared with you, man, that was just the deepest of like what I was just experiencing. And she apologized and all the things, and but it was just one of those moments where I was just really just trying to share, like, man, listen, forget what you see me doing on these stages. And again, that's me, because most of the people, most of the people that work with me, they all say, man, you're the same everywhere. I'm not a different person. I'm not wearing a camouflage. I am this person. I'm bold, I'm confident, I'm all of those things. But there's parts of me that I'm still working through, and nothing heavy. But when God shows you how big and massive something's going to be, it scares the hell out of you. And when we got to talking, I said, part of my insecurities at time and part of what scares me is I saw what happened to my dad in ministry. And I said, I don't want to, and I said, I'm not saying that I'm like him. I'm not saying those things, but I want to make sure I steward God's gift well. And so what I'm sharing with you is not that I'm afraid of this calling, but at times I'm afraid of what could be attached to the calling that sometimes may cause some moments to where, like, I'm not sure if I'm ready.
You keep saying that, bro. You keep saying that, bro. Like, I keep hearing you say you're afraid. It's almost like you are, man, it's almost like you can't disconnect the calling from your heart.
Yeah.
It's almost like, Jay, like whoever comes into your life, man, this is so big, bro. Like, they got to accept all of it. But what it sounds like for me, King, is that you're afraid that the calling will destroy anything you have. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, because let me go.
Is this too much? Is this too much, man?
No. Let me go deeper.
I'm doing this because people don't know you, and I want people to know you.
Yeah, let me go deeper.
Let's go deeper. I'm asking the questions today.
Come on,
Dr. Dave show.
We going deeper. You know, and listen, Dave and I are gonna do a tour, guys. So that's already in the works. I'm putting that out in the atmosphere, guys.
Let's go. We're coming to a city near you.
Coming to a city near you. Let me go deeper. I was engaged, I never forget. Her mother said one day. Her mother said, "Priscilla, come to the thing, man." Her mother said, so I had just released my girls book. I wrote a girls book titled Letters to a Young Queen. Amazing book. Man, I was ahead of my time. All right. So I did an interview on television. Her mother said her mother saw the interview, and immediately her mother spoke it. Her mother said, "He won't always be where he's at."
Mm.
Her mother said he won't always be where he's at.
It won't always be like this.
And then her mother followed. Are you ready for that?
To her?
To her. While we all sitting there, to her. So that sparked a whole conversation, right? On the ride home, sparked the whole conversation. So we're riding home. She says, "Are you really serious about this purpose thing, huh?" I said, "Yeah."
Absolutely.
I said, I said, "Man, I just feel called to it." Now, I had just started grad school, right? It's 2015. I said, "I'm going back to grad school." I felt God calling me to go back to grad school. I had did a speaking event that she came to, and I had a long line of women to buy the book. Hold on, watch this. So I had a long line of women purchasing the Letters to a Young Queen book. And she said, "How long are we going to be down here?" I said, "Man, until these books sell out." And she said, "I'm going to go upstairs." And she left.
She wasn't. You're not ready for the.
She said, so I was like, "Man, okay." And again, man, I'm so chill, but I'm also feeling what God is tugging on my heart at the same time. And we get up to the room, and I had that following week, I had another speaking engagement. And she said to me, and she's married now and living her life, you know. She said to me, she says, "Jay, I don't know if this is what I really want to be a part of my life." And she said to me, "I don't want to have to share you with the world." And we had a face-to-face conversation. She said, "I don't want to have to share you with the world. And I don't know if this is something that I really want to be a part of." And guess what she did, brother?
She got out of there.
She gave me the ring back.
I want to just pause for a second. I just want to pause for a second.
And I don't know her. And here's the thing, you know, she's married, man, and she reached out to me about a couple of years ago. I just did the Sherry Shepherd show. And I always, somebody said she was honest. I always respect her, man, because she was honest.
She's honest.
I have so much respect for her. And I share this story often because I share it because there's two parts of it. And the part of it is that she was honest. And she said, "Jay, I just want to go home every day and live a quiet life." And I respect her for that. She's like, "I don't want all of these things that you're attached to." And here's the thing. She had a beautiful ring. Whenever I went places, I always introduced her. Like, it wasn't on me trying to, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't on she wasn't second guessing that I chose her. She knew that she was my choice and all of those things. But I appreciate her honesty. She said, "This is not something I want to be a part of." But she called me, she reached out to me, DM, about a few years ago. And she said, "I have so much respect for you, Jay." And she said, "Everything that you shared with me, that you told me that you would do, you did it." And she's like, "I'm so proud of you." Because the one thing that anybody know, if you talk to me and, you know, we were trying to get to know each other, I was upfront about what I felt and what I felt called to do. And at times that was challenging because in that season of my life, I wasn't where I'm at today. So I was living with my godmother, and this is full transparency. I was living with my godmother because my godmother made me move out of my house. And she said, if you're going to go to grad school, I need you to focus. My godmother was never able to have kids. So she said, you can stay on the other side of the house. I just need you to focus. And she said, I also want you to minimize your overhead so you can invest into yourself. So I was able to hire publicists. I was able to do all the different things that most people, like, I couldn't have done that without her help. So I understood where I was at. And then oftentimes, David, and these are things that I can share vulnerably and publicly that's not, it's not like some that just like tugging at me that it won't allow me. Like, I remember someone telling me, I remember sharing with a young lady and her laughing, and she was like, oh, that's cute. You know, you want to change lives and stuff. Because again, I wasn't a football player no more. So I had removed myself from that image, and I was going into therapy and going, and this is like 2000, this is like 2012, 2013. So I'm talking therapy, and women are like, therapy? Like, are you crazy? So I got that a lot. And I was just like, yo, I'm just, you know, just trying. And I was always upfront, like, yo, I'm in therapy. I'm just trying to work through some stuff from this and that. Because again, how can you build a relationship with somebody if you don't allow yourself to be seen? And part of me being seen at that time was also to share where I was in my life. And oftentimes we're telling people to see into us, but we won't allow ourselves to be seen. So you want me to be fully committed to you, but you haven't been fully open with me.
You know, a vulnerable man is a nightmare to a woman who's not ready for him. Nightmare. Because we share things, man, listen, there are times, Jay, when I sit on the side of the bed at night and I just cry. And my wife will wake up at 2, 3 in the morning. I'm just crying. Side of the bed, I'm just crying. And if you're not ready for that, we're in trouble. When I think about you, King, and just who you are.
And I cry a lot, brother. I cry a lot.
I do too, Jay.
Like, bro, when I tell you, when God told me to do the Just Here Bro tour, I cried. Because God showed me a vision of all of these men standing around the altar, right? He showed me a vision of all of these men standing around the altar. And I was crying because I'm like, God, why do I have to throw myself on this altar for these men? And it didn't hit me. And I was crying because it wasn't because I didn't want to do it. I was also crying because I can feel the pain of all of these men.
Me too, Jay.
I can feel these men pain. I hit the stage,
bro,
one night from the tour. And bro, I turned my back and Lawrence grabbed me, my tour mate grabbed me and he hugged me. He said, brother, because I felt the pain. And he says, brother, you feel that? I said, man, these men are crying. They're hurting. Bro, I had tears in my eyes while I was on stage talking to these men because I can feel the pain.
Me too, bro.
And I'm saying to them, and I'm like, God, can I just dip? And he says, no. He said, this is why I broke you, so you can understand what's breaking them. And I'm like, I said, come on, say that again. He says, I broke you so you can understand what is breaking these men.
You cry a lot?
Yeah, I cry a lot.
Me too, bro.
And my crying is just like, man, my eyes just water, man. And it's just
bro.
Tears. And I just let the tears flow because I cried last Saturday before I was at the Dr. Mike Freeman's church at Faith City Central up in Baltimore. I was in my hotel room in my prayer time and I had my worship music on and I just started bawling because I started to think about the journey that I've been on. And people are enamored with the stage, but I don't care nothing about no stage, man.
I don't either,
I don't
bro.
care nothing about no stage, man.
I don't either,
This
bro.
journey, this journey, man, I don't care nothing about no stage, man. You could take that stage from me, I would be perfectly fine.
Me too, bro.
And
Me
I was
too, brother.
because I said this Saturday. I said, there's a man in here that you don't want to die, but you're tired of living.
That'll do it.
I felt the pain at the hotel room before I hit the stage. The man, I said, you don't want to die, but you're tired of living. And he raised his hand and came to the front. And that man cried like a baby, man. And I said, oh, Jesus, man. And that's what I was crying for.
Before our interview, I prayed and I just asked God, just God, speak to us. And man, I cried, bro, because I understand the weight of what you got on your life and what I have on my life. Sometimes I practice crying, man. I'll there's a YouTube, there's a page I watch on YouTube. It's nothing but videos that just make you cry. I'll sit down for an hour or so and just cry. And I'll just go through video just to cry, just to practice crying, man, because I just feel such a release. I need the men who are here, man, and watching. Brother, you got to cry.
Yeah, brothers, you got to cry, man.
I need you to cry.
It's healthy.
It's healthy. Yep.
It's healthy. And it will help us to be better to our communities, to the women who love us. But more importantly, brother, it'll help you be better to yourself. It'll help you be better to yourself, man.
My wife started trusting my leadership a lot more when I cried. When I started like availing myself to her emotionally, bro, she just trusts me now like never before, because now she has a bridge to my heart. Before I was just a wall trying to lead and we weren't going anywhere. So every man in this room, I need you, man. If you're going to be an effective leader, you have to learn how to cry. I know that sounds crazy. You have to learn how to cry. You can't lead effectively if you can't tap into who you are emotionally. Jay, we going on tour, bro?
Yeah, we're going to do that. I'm going to figure it out. I got a thousand things going on, but I'm going to figure it out. And even if we got to start with 2 cities, man, we have to. For the women that are watching, whether you are waiting for a spouse, waiting for a husband or not. And as one young lady said, she said, she's perfectly fine with not having, she doesn't want to be married. But I just want to encourage the sisters, man, to continue on your journey. And I got a DM a question the other day. The woman said, how can I help support men?
Whew.
Because so many men are really falling in this journey, and they're like, I've had to deal with 2 suicides within the past 2 weeks.
Jay.
A close friend of mine's dad took his life Tuesday night. Drove out by the lake, and he's like, I think he's in his 60s. And man, when she reached out to me, man, I was just like, and so to the ladies, this is not for you guys to pick up the burden. Please do not pick up this burden, because it is not you guys' responsibility to help men heal. You can be supportive through prayer, because some of what these men need are spiritual hugs and divine hugs from God, number one. And then a lot of them got to sit with themselves. And I know, I love the fact that a lot of you are nurturing, but sometimes if you sit with him, you'll fall in love with the help. If you sit too long. David, you turn your head.
I can't look at you. I'll have to look at something else.
And again, sisters, you got to be careful. You got to be careful, because if you sit with them too long, you'll fall in love with the help. Because there's a part of you that, as much as you are a nurturer, you are naturally a healer.
I know a young lady, Jay. I don't know how much time we got left. I know a young lady who I went to her house once. She's a family member. She's blood family. Mm-hmm. I went to her house, man, and she had a cat in her house.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, where did the cat come from? She said, well, he was on the porch and I just kept feeding him milk and he just kept coming back. So now I let him in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And I discovered that when you spend your life as a fixer, you will always attract the broken.
Yep.
If you need a man to be broken to feel valued, you will miss the opportunity to enjoy his healing.
Hold on, David.
Yep.
All right, you're in the car. Sign off. Crystal, can you talk for a second? Priscilla, sign off. All right. Crystal, how you doing?
I'm good.
So to everyone that is watching, this is a former manager of mine and a close friend of mine. I know you guys can't see on YouTube, but I want you to kind of speak to the ladies that are watching, because I know just really quick. I know you got something. Go ahead.
I was about to type in the chat. It's so funny you said that. The thing that comes to mind is you cannot smash the assignment. So that would probably be my biggest thing, is that sometimes as women we go attempting to cultivate when our job is to really intercede, and we overextend ourselves, and sometimes purpose can misrepresent itself as love, and we find ourselves in a place where we fall for somebody that we're supposed to be supporting from afar, but the enemy will make us think that it's our job to stay connected too close, and then we'll end up in a place where our flesh will misinterpret the space, and we will fall and end up smashing what we were supposed to intercede for.
Oof.
Huh? What? Huh?
I think because, like you said, we're nurturers, we're cultivators, we're natural lovers. We come in looking to help. Mm-hmm. We just really misinterpret the space. So been there, done that, and so I think when we're honest, we really free ourselves. And I think that's the issue as Christians. We're not really honest. We don't talk about the way our flesh feels. We don't identify what's really there. So emotions, physicality, all those things begin to take over. And then we begin to say, oh, this is my Boaz, when really it's a nightmare from Elm Street. And it's not the person. It's not us. It's just we misrepresent the space, and all of that just kind of messes the whole situation up.
Who is that? Who is this? Why is she like this?
This is my former manager. I like so, and
why is she like that though?
She's actually going to be on the podcast, man. So
why is she like that though?
Yeah,
help me understand that, Jay, because that's not right.
Thank you for coming in. You guys will be seeing her on the podcast the month of July, because I have all women that are going to be on the podcast for the month of July. She's a manager to a few hip hop artists, but phenomenal woman. People ask her, who is she? Like, she managed me for a couple of years, man, and this is one of my closest friend and lover. And she's always going to bring truth. And she does a lot of what you call, David, a lot of kindly cutting.
I like it.
Yes. So thank you, sis. Love you.
Of course. Love you more.
All right.
Talk to you soon. Okay, bye.
So guys, listen, we're going to wrap this thing up. David and I had agreed to do just an hour, and I wanted to come on because David has been telling me, let people get to know you a little bit more. So I hope you guys get to see that I'm a real person. As much healing as I've done, I'm still navigating. I'm pouring into others, man. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I am nowhere where I was. So, that's that. But I just want to say thank you to everyone who's logged on. We've had 349 people on this live, and we've had 96 to 100 and something people on the Instagram live. Listen, continue to support the podcast. Watch the episodes. Next week is each week gets better. Each week gets better. Like I said, the month of June, all men will be on the pod because we are honoring Men's Health Month for the month of June. And all July, we have a female cast that is going to blow your mind. It's going to, the truth that these women are sharing, the healing, the stories, coming out of divorce, coming out of loss, working in corporate America, raising kids with disabilities. I am touching all of the topics because I truly believe we need something that has healing in it to encourage us to keep moving forward and to encourage us to keep growing and keep evolving. And what I want is for us to, as David said, nurture our souls. So I hope this space is nurturing to your soul and to your spirit. David?
King, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I was trying to post a link in the chat, guys. I got a free ebook for you. And it, for some reason it won't post, but if you follow me on Instagram, just inbox me and I'll send you the link. Totally free. It just really focuses on communication and being better communicators. Jay, thank you again, man, for just sharing your platform with me, King. I'm grateful. Always excited to work with you, man. Looking forward to working together in the future.
Absolutely, brother. You know, I love you to the moon and back. Please go get David. He has a free ebook in the chat. So please support him, follow him. This is a powerful brother. I mean, he's helping men and women from all walks of life. Go to his page. I mean, really support the work that he's doing and all the work that he is doing to build healthier people so we can have better experience and have healthier relationships. And so that's really what it's about. Because when we are healthy, we have healthier experiences. And that doesn't mean that we're going to marry the people that we're coming in contact with, that we have these experiences with, but we're having more pleasant experience. Does this mean people are perfect because they're healed? No, it just means that people are continuously on their journey. And so, as always, I'm signing off as I sign off on the podcast. Remember, healing is a journey and wholeness is the destination, man. Until next time, keep healing those around you as you continue to heal yourself.
Peace.